In this video, I'm going to show you how to avoid taxes like the wealthy by taking advantage of certain deductions and loopholes. Welcome to another learning lesson from the Wisdom Mentor. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to avoid taxes like the wealthy by taking advantage of certain deductions and loopholes. You might be thinking that this is only for people with a lot of money, but that's not true. There are ways for people of all income levels to take advantage of these techniques. So whether you're just trying to get ahead or you're trying to lower your tax bill, stay tuned and I'll show you how it's done. In this video, you'll learn how to keep more of your money. Have you ever wondered why the middle class and the poor pay more tax than rich people do? If you are looking for more information about tax, you'll probably taught to max out your contributions, but that's not always the case. Rich people avoid taxes by hiring the most experienced and dedicated accountants to find loopholes and tricks that can decrease the amount of tax they are paying for. Sit back, relax, and learn. Number 1. Shh, it's company cost. Have a business. The money you spend isn't taxable if the business you own requires it for proper operation. Do you wish to buy a new car for yourself? Since the corporation also requires the car, let them purchase it on their money. You get to keep the car since you require it for business operations. The following are some expenses that the wealthy deduct. Any kind of technology, hardware, software, etc. Laptops, phones, and other devices, and other miscellaneous expenses. Travel, hotels and flights are required for work visits. Home office and utilities like the internet. Health insurance premiums. Even eating out is a deductible expense. The more expenses you can write off, the less money will be subjected to tax. Any expense that is deemed ordinary, necessary, and reasonable, and aids the revenue generation of a business, is tax deductible. Usually, it is subtracted from the business's income before taxes. As stated by the US, an average expense is one that is typical and recognized in your field. According to the Internal Revenue Service or IRS, in Publication 535, Business Expenses. An expense that is beneficial and appropriate for your trade or business is considered required. Number 2. Where you live is important. People frequently underestimate how drastically their lives would change if they moved to a place where they enabled them to keep their money. When I was younger, doing it like this was the norm. As your primary residence, you would relocate to Dubai, Monaco, the Cayman Islands, or the Bahamas. There is no income tax in these nations. You are not required to pay taxes on the money you earn. However, there is a catch. Moving there is typically quite expensive, which explains why the wealthy have an unfair advantage in life. If you live in the US and wouldn't want to move countries, you can try Wyoming. Wyoming citizens enjoy an effective state tax rate of just 4.79% and additionally benefit from levies on mining and oil, making it one of the best tax states with stunning mountaintop sunsets. Wyoming has the lowest tax burden of any state, absorbing only 2.876% or 4.8% of a $60,000 salary. Sales taxes are modest, and there is no state income tax in Wyoming. although there are sometimes high car taxes. Additionally, there are few real estate property taxes, and Social Security income is not taxed. Due in part to taxes on the state's natural resources, Wyoming is able to pay its bills without receiving any income tax money. Number 3. Reinvested profit is not taxed. The wealthy don't hoard money unless they really need it for that purpose. The golden rule of taxation says that profits that are reinvested are not subject to taxation. You wouldn't be required to pay taxes on the $3 million if your firm was about to make it and you decided to reinvest it in the company before the fiscal year ended to help it expand even more. Profits are essentially returned to the company when they are reinvested. The more money you put back into your business, the more you'll need to spend on advertising and other costs that could increase sales and reduce your tax burden. If your company is successful and elects not to reinvest its profits, those extra funds are typically distributed as a dividend to the company's shareholders. This implies that the business owners will be required to pay taxes on their portion of those dividends, which can be quite a sizable sum. Number 4. Do it like Apple and Google. They set up companies in Ireland because of its tax-friendly environment. These businesses are intellectual property owners. Each year, the US firm must pay a licensing fee to the Irish corporation in order to continue creating and marketing items in the US. For the US business, this resulted in a legitimate deduction expense. By using this strategy, they are transferring money from the US economy to Ireland, where they can pay as little as 1% or even less with further optimization. If you reside in a country with low income tax rates, you can always establish a local business there and bill your US subsidiary for services done, thereby reducing the tax burden in the US. Companies like these computer behemoths would prefer to pay a fine than to fully remit their taxes. Tax is payment for doing something right. A fine is for doing something wrong. Number 5. Beyoncé once said, "Pay me in equity." Young startup founders that want to expand their firms but are unable to pay highly competitive salaries to qualified employees sometimes adopt equity-based pay. Typical agreements aim to reward service providers for their efforts with stock in the company, either partially or totally. This offer may or may not be a fantastic opportunity for you, depending on where you are in your career and age, as well as where the company is and where it is headed. If you don't sell it, equity is not taxable. Elon Musk became so wealthy so quickly in this way. Unbelievably, Elon makes between $0 and $23,000 annually. Yes, Elon makes that much money annually in his capacity as CEO of Tesla. Elon receives newly issued shares in lieu of cash, depending on the company's performance. His net worth is rapidly increasing as a result of Tesla becoming a publicly traded company, and if this trend continues, he will most likely surpass Bill Gates as the richest person in the world soon. Before we proceed to the last point of this video, make sure to give us a like and share this with your friends so you can avoid the burden and responsibility of paying taxes altogether. Now, back to the ball game. Number 6. Have multiple nationalities. I know, you're probably thinking that sounds illegal, but trust the wisdom mentor when we tell you that most rich people do this. Although it's arguably the sketchiest and most perplexing option on the list, people have done it successfully all across the world. You must pay taxes in your nation of residence, often known as your home country when it comes to paying taxes. But what occurs if your nation of origin disappears? Despite possessing houses all around the world, a large number of extremely affluent people opt to not have a home nation. They submit a proof of address from a property they own in Philippines or Bhutan, which is in another language and is missed by a government that has no intention of supplying any extra information when institutions request one. U.S. residents are subject to IRS taxation as long as they are in possession of a U.S. passport, even if they have multiple passports. I know one individual who has 8. While only U.S. citizens can completely escape their country's tax system by renunciating their citizenship, there are other nations where doing so is far from simple. Every government entity you interact with these days want to know which nation you call home. Establishing a tax residency in a tax-free nation that won't try to seize the money you earn elsewhere is crucial for this reason. Now you know what tricks the wealthy use to avoid taxes and how they keep most of their money. I hope this video was helpful and you learned something today. Thanks for tuning in to the Wisdom Mentor channel, and we hope to see you again soon.